So, during the last showcase of Marvel Spider-Man 2, on top of seeing Kraven and Lizard, we also got to see a quick look at the different boroughs that we can visit in the city, featuring different Spider-Man villains like Black Cat, Tombstone, Prowler, Wraith, among others. But Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is so wide and iconic, with so many memorable characters and relationships, that it's basically a given that there will still be some surprises in store, and we're bound to encounter more villains than just that. Whether it's for a side mission or a secondary character to the plot, or just random encounters in the open world, there are so many villains that I'd love to see Insomniac take a crack at in this next game, including the most evil, nefarious villain that's ever faced off against a wall crawler. The one character who's tormented and destroyed Peter Parker's life more than any other. Marvel Editorial. This video is brought to you by GlassesUSA.com. Peter Parker famously wears glasses. Well, I guess he doesn't anymore, but he used to. And being a working class kid from Queens, he probably needed to get those glasses at an affordable cost. GlassesUSA.com offers thousands of different frames for glasses and sunglasses from so many different brands like Gucci, Oakley, Ray-Bans, and tons more. And their frames start at just $39, which can be up to 70% off of retail price. If you're like me and you spend way too long looking at screens all day, GlassesUSA.com offers a collection of advanced blue light blocking lenses. Using blue light glasses during screen time has been proven to reduce eye strain, decrease headaches, improve your sleep, and increase productivity. With so many different frames to choose from, you might think it'd be overwhelming to choose the right ones, but there's an AR virtual try-on feature for some of the lenses that tracks a 3D model of the frames to your face to let you get a better idea of what you look like with them on. And they also have a quiz you can take that helps you make a better decision. It only takes about a minute, and it suggests the right pair of glasses based on your face shape, your preferred materials, frame size, and any other needs you may have. I've actually been using their site for years. They're always my go-to when it comes to getting new glasses frames. These frames are actually the same ones that I've always worn, but I like them so much I wanted to get a new pair. I got some nice new sunglasses that these are nice, these are fun. Look at these. Ooh. You know, I would do the rest of the ad with these ones on. Just because, yeah, why not, you know? I look like the guy from Atlantis. But I guess like a Walmart version of the guy from Atlantis. Shopping online at GlassesUSA.com is a risk-free shopping experience with free shipping and returns and 100% money-back guarantee within 14 days. And right now, for only the next 24 hours, they're offering an exclusive discount on top of any coupon code they currently have on the website just for my followers if you click the link in the description. And thanks to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video. Switching back to the other glasses because I'm scared of change. Now, some people have talked about how this version of Peter Parker hasn't seemingly faced many of his villains despite being active for 8 years. Based on the backpacks, we see that he's only really faced a handful of them, and he spent most of his time fighting Kingpin, but I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. In fact, I think it's pretty refreshing that we're now seeing a more experienced Spider-Man who's also in the role of teacher, and how this different take faces off against iconic villains for the first time like Venom, Kraven, and potentially Green Goblin. It allows Insomniac to tell those stories and provide fresh new takes on villains while also not rehashing a lot of the same stuff that we've seen before, since so much other Spider-Man media is set during his high school days. And while there's a lot of potential when it comes to these big, iconic main villains, I also think that they can do a lot with some of the smaller rogues as well. There's so many villains that they can implement in this game. The first game set the bar really high with how it handled a lot of its characters, and I'm super excited to see what Insomniac brings to the table. And the first villain I'd like to see is Sandman. Flint Marko is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. His origin and his personality differ from adaptation to adaptation, but I especially love when he's portrayed as a thief with a heart of gold. Someone that's only in it for a big score, either to help himself or someone he loves, and when it comes down to it, he'll step up and help people if he needs to. Sandman could either be a recurring villain in the main story, similar to how Shocker was in the first game, or you could have a series of side quests about him just like Tombstone, and it could all culminate into a boss fight on a beach where Sandman grows massive and we have to chip away at him bit by bit, either with water or concrete. The first game showed the last remaining pieces of Sandman trapped in a vial in Peter's backpack from his high school days, and while that's more humane than most American prison systems, I think that it could be explained that he either escaped, or that Peter was wrong about trapping him, or that it just doesn't matter because it was an Easter egg in a video game. Come on, not everything has to be explained all the time. The next villain I want to see is Mysterio. While most people know him from Far From Home as the disgruntled Stark employee who made valid points about workers' rights and then messed all that up by going crazy and trying to murder a bunch of children, that's awesome, love that. Mysterio in the comics is totally different. I mean, he's still crazy, but just a different kind of crazy, you know? I would want this game's Quentin Beck to focus on the film industry, just like the source material. The movies kind of got away from that aspect of the character, but it's something that I've always really loved about him, and I want to see get more mainstream spotlight. Honestly, with everything going on in the industry right now, with all the studios bleeding their artists dry while the CEOs make millions and millions per year, even though their workers are the only reason these asshats have any money to begin with, I think it'd be pretty timely. The next villain I'd like to see is J. Jonah Jameson. All right, JJ isn't exactly a straight up villain. In fact, I always prefer when writers take the sympathetic approach with his character. We got just a little bit of it in the first game, but I think we could explore the possibility by giving him more screen time in the sequel. The prequel comic sets up the idea that JJ might come back to the Bugle, so maybe we could get some more scenes there. And we can explore what makes his character so special and more than just the comic relief Alex Jones parody that he was portrayed as mostly in the first game. The next villain that I need to see is Screwball. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. But I do really want to see Beetle. Beetle is one of those Spider-Man villains that's more or less pretty small time and doesn't get much spotlight, but with a few key appearances in other media, namely the Ultimate Spider-Man game, he's become a fan favorite. Seriously, this whole mission is one of the best parts of that game, and I love that game. That game's great. There's a lot of great parts of that game, but this is one of the best parts. That says a lot. Just like Ultimate Spider-Man, I would love to have to chase Beetle around the city. The Shocker chase is one of my favorite moments in the first game, as well as the set piece with Rhino and Miles Morales, and I would really love to see more citywide sequences where you have to chase down a villain, maybe even stopping to save civilians along the way. Beetle is actually a legacy character, and in the comics, the current depiction is Janice Lincoln, the daughter of Tombstone. So if that's the iteration that Insomniac wants to go with, they could do something with her having a grudge against Peter after he put her dad in jail in the first game. And speaking of, it could be really interesting to see some more of the legacy versions of these villains and their teams. I mentioned Beetle, but there's also Blackie Drago as the Vulture, Francine Fry as the second Electro, Elaine Cole's Scorpia, maybe even Carolyn Trainor's Doc Ock. I call her Doc Ock. I know like she's technically Lady Octopus. I don't like that. That feels weird. Women can be doctors. Just call her Doc Ock, who cares? There's a lot of really interesting possibilities of having the originals face off with their successors and how that could parallel Peter and Miles' relationship. Maybe the villains see someone else using their mantle as a replacement and are opposed to it, whereas the Spider-Men work together as a team and can coexist. The first game put a lot of emphasis on the Sinister Six, but there are other Spider-Man villain teams that don't get too much spotlight. There's the Enforcers, the Syndicate, but I really want to see Boomerang's team from Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber's Superior Foes of Spider-Man. The team consisted of Boomerang, Overdrive, Shocker, Speed Demon, and Beetle, and it's one of the best Spider-Man related comics out there, so if they ever pull anything from that, I'd be happy. The joke is that they call themselves the Sinister Six, but there's only 5 of them. Humor. The next villain that I would love to see in the game is Carnage. Okay, not Carnage exactly. Hang on. I think the character of Carnage is great and all. I love him, but he's been a bit oversaturated in Spider-Man media lately, to the point where basically anything involving Venom also has to have Carnage there. And for this universe, I would like to put a little bit more space between the Black Goop Murder Monster and the Red Goop Murder Monster. But I do think it'd be really cool to see Cletus Cassidy before he gets the Carnage symbiote. No superpowers, nothing fancy, just a normal serial killer. Normal serial killer is a term that I didn't think that I would ever say in my life. Maybe there's a string of murders that Peter and Miles have to track down, leading to Cletus, similar to something like the Professor Pig side quest in Batman Arkham. I'm starting to realize that that's basically what the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game did. So maybe not. I would also love to see the Chameleon. I've talked about it on this channel before, but Chameleon is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. There's something so eerie about his concept, the fear that anyone and everyone you meet could be a disguise, that he doesn't have powers or abilities, it's just a mask. The second you introduce Chameleon into a story, the tension just skyrockets, and I love that. There could maybe be NPCs and civilians that you interact with, people who ask for your help, only to reveal themselves as Chameleon. They could either fight you for a little bit, or maybe they're distracting you to commit a crime. They did something similar to this with Kingpin's spies in the first game, civilians that would attack you at random, but it didn't really happen very often. I think it only happened to me like 3 times in my entire hundreds of hours playing these games. It could be like the Yiga clan in the new Zelda games, where anyone and anyone you interact with could be a trap to attack you. But the villains that I most want to see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 are the silly ones. Spider-Man has so many serious and dark villains, serial killers, vampires, alien goop monsters, but a lot of times we tend to forget just how silly comic books can be, and how frankly, that's a lot of the fun of it. Big Wheel, The Wall, Stiltman, the villains that on paper are so stupid and hilarious. They could be a really nice palate cleanser after the potential seriousness of the main story, because that's gonna go places, I can just tell. And Insomniac could either play up that silliness and really lean into it, or take the things that make them work and find new and interesting ways to reinvent them. Take a look at Kite Man from Tom King's Batman run. A character who used to just be some silly Silver Age joke of a villain, a guy that flew around on a kite, but then with a single issue was given a tragic backstory and interesting motivation and became hugely beloved to a ton of people. Everybody drop a Kite Man hell yeah in the comments, because YouTube engagement. I mean, it's part of the reason why Across the Spider-Verse was a huge success. Despite how little screen time he gets in the movie, the spot became an instant hit, not because of his obscurity and power set, but also because of his backstory and turning his motivation and silliness into something truly terrifying. All it takes is just one good writer and one good story to turn a silly one-off into a fan favorite. And with a spotlight as big as Insomniac's universe, who's to say that that can't happen with some of Spidey's villains? I'm telling you, I feel like there's something. You could make Big Wheel a tragic character, and nobody has the balls to try it. Because what makes a good Spider-Man villain? Now, you could say it's the costume design, or their powers, or the tech that they have, or their backstory. All things that are of course important to any character in this genre. But if you ask me, the thing that turns a good Spider-Man villain into a great one are the fundamental themes and ideas that they represent, and how that opposes the things that Spider-Man represents. The Green Goblin is the true dark side of wealth, greed, and power. Dr. Octopus is the danger of unchecked scientific ambition. Kraven the Hunter is what happens when a mission turns into an obsession. Venom represents duality and the blurred line between responsibility and vengeance. And the same can be applied for all the great Spider-Man villains, because it takes more than just a silly name or an animal gimmick to make an impact. And I truly believe that Insomniac understands this, and that they're on track to give us some of the best depictions of Spider-Man's rogues that we've ever seen. So long as they don't include Screwball. But what villains do you want to see from Marvel Spider-Man 2? I'm actually going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this week. If anybody's going to be there, I'm not going to any panels or anything. But if you're going and you see me, feel free to say hi. Once again, thanks to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video. And if you like this video, be sure to like button and subscribe. Special thanks to 21 Escalators, Also the Sting, Ands, Already Done It, Cabbage Boy, Cassidy, Chicken McDoofus, Cosmic Tragedy, Dan the Dreamer Shill, Deco PY, DJ Ricky 08, Eden Kenna, Iron Ninja, Jake Selig, Jonah, Corey's Not Fresh, Lime Spice XL, Pencil Fan, Simply Dan, Spectacular Clyde, Tim Neufeld, Troy Says By Erasure is Lame, Tyler Goodrich, Josh Kapoor, Zachary Stonebreaker, and Zero to Hero 148 for being spectacular fanboys on my Patreon. This has been Troy Boy 17 coming at you live. Be responsible, and I'll see you around.